Hello, this is Hannah. Jeremiah last lesson 13 from Wednesday. Twilight of the idols. What was one of the great sins that the people committed that Jeremiah had to deal with constantly? Jeremiah 10, 1 through 15. What's interesting in these texts is not just the way in which the prophet shows how vain and useless and silly these idols are, but how he contrasts them to the living God. These things are powerless, useless, empty, and false. What a contrast to the Lord who made the heavens and the earth. He will endure forever. While these idols will vanish forever, so whom should we be worshiping and dedicating our lives to? That which is weak, false, vain, and powerless, or to the Lord, whose power and might are so great that he created and sustains the universe? The answer, of course, is obvious. Yet, however obvious the answer, the fact is we are in danger of falling into idolatry as well. Though today we might not worship the same kind of idols that those in Jeremiah's time did, our modern life is full of false gods. Yes, these modern idols can be anything that we love more than God. Whatever we worship, and worship doesn't always mean singing and praying, becomes our God, and we are guilty of idolatry. What are some of the things that we can be in danger of making into idols? What about things such as digital devices and money, fame, even other people? Make a list of what these potential idols are, and then ask yourself, in the end, what real salvation do they offer? Of course, we know intellectually that none of these things is worthy of worship. We know that in the end, nothing that this world offers us, nothing that we make into idols, can ultimately satisfy our souls and certainly not redeem them. We know all these things, and yet, unless we are careful, unless we keep before us Jesus and what he did for us and why he did it, we can so easily be swept up in a modern form of the idolatry similar to that which Jeremiah so passionately railed against. Thursday, the remnant. In the closing years of Judah's apostasy, the exhortations of the prophets were seemingly of but little avail. And as the armies of the Chaldeans came for the third and last time to besiege Jerusalem, hope fled from every heart. Jeremiah predicted utter ruin, and it was because of his insistence on surrender that he had finally been thrown into prison. But God left not to hopeless despair the faithful remnant who were still in the city, even while Jeremiah was kept under close surveillance by those who scorned his messages. There came to him fresh revelations concerning heaven's willingness to forgive and to save, which have been an unfailing source of comfort to the church of God from that day to this. Prophets and Kings, page 466. Even amid that prevailing apostasy and doom, God always had a faithful people, however small in number, though as with many of the books of the prophets, much of the emphasis in Jeremiah was on apostasy and unfaithfulness, because these were what the Lord wanted to save the people from. All through sacred history, the Lord had a faithful remnant. This, of course, will continue down until the end of time. Revelation 12:17. How is the concept of the remnant expressed in Jeremiah 23:1-8? How does this apply to New Testament times? See also Jeremiah 33:14-18. In verses 5-7, scholars have long seen a messianic prophecy, a prophecy of redemption for God's faithful people. Though it's true that after the Babylonian exile, a remnant returned, it was not a glorious return. Yeah. However, God's purpose would be fulfilled through the lineage of David, through a righteous branch, the king who would one day reign. This prophecy had a partial fulfillment in the first coming of Jesus. See Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, 21, chapter 21, 7-9, John chapter 12, verse 13. It will have its ultimate fulfillment in the second coming. See Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and 14. When all of God's faithful people, His true remnant, will dwell forever in peace and safety. The redemption first symbolized by the exodus from Egypt will be final, complete, and eternal. In what are you putting your hopes? How can you learn to to trust more and more in the promise of God and their ultimate fulfillment in your own life? What else besides them do you have? Now, Friday, last one. Now, further thought, last verse, the Jeremiah, the still left enough time. So many years ago, a Seventh-day Adventist minister named W.D. Frazier preached a sermon called Winners and Losers. In it, he went through the lives of various Bible characters, looking at their work and ministry, and then he asked the question regarding each one: was he a winner or a loser? For example, he looked at John the Baptist, who lived a lonely life in the wilderness. Though eventually John had a small following, it never amounted to much, and certainly it was not what Jesus, who came later, had. And of course, John lived out his last days in a drink prison, where at times he was harassed with doubt, finally only to get his head chopped off. Matthew 14. After recounting all this, Elder Frazier asked, was John a winner or a loser? What about Jeremiah the prophet? How successful was his life? He suffered a great deal, and he wasn't afraid to win and mourn about it either. With a few exceptions, it seems that the priests, prophets, kings, and common people not only didn't like what he had to say, but also thoroughly resented it. He was even seen as treasonous against his own people. In the end, the destruction and doom that he spent his life warning about came because time and again the people rejected his works. They threw him into a muddy pit, hoping he'd die there. He lived to see his nation go into a terrible exile, while Jerusalem and the temple were destroyed. Thus, from a human perspective, not much went well for Jeremiah. From one perspective, you could argue that he had a fairly miserable life. This is the last. Yes. 야, 재밌는 거 볼까? It's bring it, your book. Yeah, I will discuss in question. Last one. First question. Was Jeremiah a winner or a loser? What are the reasons for the choice you make? If you say he was a winner, what does that tell us about how crucial it is that we not judge reality by the words standard? What standards are we to use to try to understand what is right and wrong, good and evil, success and failure? Yeah. Second, in what ways do we see the life and ministry of Jesus prefigured in Jeremiah? What are the parallels? 3, last question. Earlier this week, we saw the deception of going on with religious worship as usual without a change of heart. What is true grace in contrast to the cheap, worthless, and even deceptive version of it warned about here? Yeah, let's go to 재밌는 거 보러 가자. 할머니 이거 이제 다 끝났어요. Thank you, you cooperated with me. So I'm satisfied. I'm enjoyed to read, but I wonder how many you just listen to my one. But repeating is good if you have free time. I don't have enough time, but with my kids, my voice already cracked because I'm just ready the lesson 12 and lesson 13. That's kind of my burden too. But I want to work out to read continually. Bye. Let's go. Bye. I love you.
I love you.
Let's
Bye.
see you on next year, 2016. Bye. Happy New Year.
Happy Year.
Yeah, we are going through 2016 until Jesus coming again. Yeah, and bye. I will meet at the Bible verse more. There are lots of Bible verse in lesson 13. So let's meet again. Because of the end of the year, on next week, we're going to be busy. So I want to read it today. Thank you. I worked out or done. You are faithful servant of God. I like to be that. Bye. I love you. Let's see Head Hemoshak reading. Head Hemoshak. And elephant. And people. The human greeting. I love you. Human greeting. I love you. I love you too. Bye. Let's go. I miss you. Push here. I miss you 하고. I miss you. Love you. 하 한번 하고. 하. 호호. 히히히히. 야호.
I can push.
Yeah, you're gonna push.